On the 8th of May, 1945, 73 years ago this week, one of the greatest wars recorded in the history of mankind was won. There was liberation for the oppressed. There were songs of victory sung in the streets. There was dancing, and there was great rejoicing. Our forefathers fought hard. They had paid the heavy price. They had laid down their very lives for mothers and children back home. They had persevered. They had overcome, and they had come out victorious. But this great victory didn't come without many defeats along the way. There were times when it seemed all hope was lost, when the enemy seemed too great, as they witnessed a monster sweep across Europe and claim the lives of countless men, women, and children. These times, more than ever, are times when faith is tested, when character is tested, and when hope is tested. My friends, I believe that we are in times such as these. We are fighting a war far greater in magnitude than the war that was won 73 years ago. In World War II, 10 million lives were lost every year worldwide. We are fighting a war 5 times that scale, a war which is taking the lives of 56 million innocent children worldwide every year. Over the past 50 years, we have watched as this invisible enemy has made all-out war against the unborn child. We have watched this monster dehumanize, degrade, and destroy the most vulnerable members of our society. We have seen this enemy advance into people's homes, stealing hearts, stealing minds, and stealing consciences, and stealing lives. This year we have witnessed this enemy's attempt to eradicate the pro-life movement, pushing for buffer zones, pushing for abortion all the way up to birth, pushing for abortion on the Isle of Man, pushing for abortion in Ireland. My friends, whether you believe it or not, we are in a war. And the battleground is the hearts and the minds of this nation. What will it take to win this war? Faith, action, and perseverance. Faith is saying, although it looks bleak, although the enemy is great, well-resourced, well-funded, their time is running out. Faith is seeing beyond the present circumstances and fixing our eyes on the victory. Faith is placing your conviction far beyond your own strength, your own intellect, your own skills, and believing in the one who has already defeated death. Faith is not believing that we can see an end to abortion, but that we will see an end to abortion. It is the spirit of Martin Luther King Jr. which says, I have a dream. And men and women, I want to tell you that I too have a dream. I dream that men will rise up and be like our forefathers who gave their very lives to defend and protect their women and their children. I have a dream that mothers will no longer believe the lie that children are the enemy, that children are the invaders of the land of their lives and their freedom, but will recognize the real enemy staring them in the face and will rise up with the boldness of lionesses to protect their young. We have heard today that every life deserves love. If you believe that, what does love look like? What does love look like to the woman who finds herself in crisis? What does love look like to that child who is about to be pulled apart by instruments of torture? Is our love a feeling, or is our love an action? The Bible says no greater love has any man than this, than that he laid down his life for his friends. We must be willing to lay things down. We must be willing to lay down our reputations. We must be willing to lay down our personal ambitions, and we must be willing to be uncomfortable and despised for the sake of our neighbors. But our actions must not be inspired by good intent alone, but from knowing how the opposition works and how victory is won. We must be clever. We must be shrewd. We must learn from those who have gone before us and learn the lessons from the history of social reform. Injustices survive on deception. The weakness of the abortion industry is that it survives on lies and euphemisms like choice, reproductive freedom, and health care. What does that mean the job of every pro-lifer is to do? It's to expose that choice. We must expose abortion. Who was it that abolished slavery? Who was it that abolished slavery? It was an illustrator who decided to use his talents to draw a picture to convey the horror of the slave trade. It was a man who rode his horse to take these images to the public and awaken public conscience. It was the preachers who did not shy away from the truth in the pulpits, but preached and rallied their congregations to boycott the industry. Who was it that won civil rights? It was the mum who opened the coffin and let the world see her dead son killed by racists. It was the old woman on the bus who remembered the image of that dead boy and said, "Enough is enough," and remained seated. It was the students who sacrificed their education and their very lives to ride in the freedom rides in the South. It was the photographer who took the pictures of the injustice, the teacher, the farmer, the nurses, the bus drivers who joined the March for Freedom. Who is it that will abolish abortion? Mums, students, the elderly, photographers, pastors, nurses, lawyers. Injustices are defeated by ordinary men and women who say enough is enough, who have faith for victory, who take action, and who persevere even when the battle seems lost, even when victory seems miles away. When the forces of evil rage, it is saying, "I will run with endurance the race that is set before me." And in the words of Churchill, "I will never, never, never give up." Today we march with our feet. Tomorrow we will march with our voices, with our actions, with our talents, with our skills. We will fill society with teachers, with pharmacists, with activists, with photographers, politicians, bus drivers, lawyers who will continue the march for life in every corner of society until the monster until the monster of abortion is exposed and the evil is defeated and the war against the unborn child is won. Can you hear the songs of victory? Can you hear the sound of rejoicing? Can you see children as they dance in the streets? The end of abortion is coming. The battle will be won. Let us march for life today, and tomorrow keep marching, for we will see an end to abortion.